Hey, the internet, y'all got us all the way up. We met that dude, Duke the Jeweler, the night before. We was gambling. The next day, dude followed us to the concert. When we left out the concert, we under the garage. Dude went to his car by himself and walked down to the parking lot. That's when somebody tried to kill.
He's the one that's tied to the dude that makes the loaded dice. Right? Check the play out. All entertainers, when you go to Houston, stay away from J. Prince Jr. The whole play going on. Here go the play right here. The play is the loaded dice.
Duke the Jeweler was shot dead in Houston during a high-stakes dice game, and 50 Cent reportedly shocked the internet by revealing new evidence linking Boosie and J. Prince JRB to the setup of the crime. The compromised files reportedly contain timestamps indicating planned movements on the night of the murder, odd text exchanges, and surveillance screenshots. As hashtags like #NumberJusticeForDuke gained popularity, fans are amazed by the sheer number of individuals calling for justice. Even though Boosie and J. Prince JRB have remained silent, the growing body of evidence is drawing a lot of interest. The unresolved case may undergo a significant change if these facts are true. Dice stained with blood rolled on the velvet table. There were smiles on everyone's faces, but only one man would make it through the night. Duke the Jeweler did not die penniless. He passed away amid wolves with fierce smiles and secret goals. Federal investigators have seen blood like the one mob Ty is presently handling before. The heist was successful. Duke was assassinated not by unidentified assailants in a shadowy alley, but by people he had once dabbed up at a drunken hosted dice game just minutes before. Perhaps the same hands that had once held each other also sent coded warnings, and the smiles vanished in an instant. Those who were present that evening are now perspiring, supervised by federal officials. 50 Cent also. He will not keep quiet. He is stoking the flames by sharing screenshots, receipts, and enigmatic captions that imply Duke's death was planned rather than happening by accident. That is the reason it is more unsettling. Duke had shut the table down at a J. Just 2 weeks had passed since Prince JRB's event when Takeoff tragically passed away at another dice game. The similarities are frightful. It feels like bullets are the next step when the wrong man wins. Lil Cam J, Prince JRB, Boosie, and the mob TI's circle are all still under investigation.
Man, Lord,
You supposed to be man
about to drop. Oh, you
That nigga gonna have $1,000
began as rumors and has since evolved into official federal heat. But how might a fun game of dice turn into a death sentence? To understand that, we must travel back in time. Duke the Jeweler looked unbeatable at first. Prior to the stakes dying, a confident, self-made Chicago native was bursting with success. Duke the Jeweler, the streetwise superstar, was more than that. His reputation in the jewelry industry was that he created unique pieces for affluent clients, not just YouTubers or SoundCloud aspirants. Rich CEOs and influential rappers were among his clientele. The purpose of this journey to Houston was not relaxation.
Hard time, but never gave up. I stayed tough, even when I got my chain stuck. Go through hard time, but we know that what made us. Can't blame us, we love the script, cause that what paid us. Yeah, ain't relax, I know them niggas laid on. My call key like get the pressure going where I'm on. I can't even find know how many nights I'm staying up.
It was all business, insiders said. Boosie approached Duke directly to discuss a fresh, assured, high-end custom order. After packing pricey diamond sets into his $1 million Louis Vuitton bag, the Duke set out south. Duke was unaware, however, that this trip would perhaps be more of a setup than a sale. Even he did not realize the actual ominousness of the background as his last hours drew near. That night, it went beyond a friendly game of dice. According to audio leaks made public by the Deep Street intelligence organization WAC 100, the table was a fabricated setup. As WAC claims, we now call the circuit that Prince JRB operates a loaded dice circuit. The three people involved in this small street activity are always the same. Big Capri, a dude, and Little Cam, he just called Wolf. Controlling the game's flow like they were passing holy items, these three rotate the dice. It's an easy pattern, except in situations where the dice fall into the wrong hands, the house always wins. Duke broke the rules that night. After catching the rotation slip and rolling the altered dice, he quickly began to win. He destroyed thousands with tiny, big, and enormous hits. It moved. The smiles stopped. When you break a system, don't laugh it off. People who created it, they have a tighter hold. That was followed by chaos. Street insiders and longtime observers claim that Prince JRB reportedly keeps 30% of the money made from each dice game.
He was walking to his car or something, some dude tried to rob him. Some dudes tried to rob him. See, some dudes had tried to rob me and walked off by themselves. So I had just met dude yesterday. Try to rob dude must ain't get up.
Spokesman Flight Zach, we're number 2 for departure. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin.
Just met dude.
This implies that Duke's massive wins weren't the result of pure luck. He was using every last cent he had made that night. A system that counts down every dollar before it is earned does not overlook that type of rage. Duke also gave up some of his earnings. Shining brightly, he kept his followers updated at every stage. Wearing jewelry, he threw out piles like flyers, grinned confidently, and kept shooting for Instagram. The most unsettling hints, however, are revealed in the video. You can hear Boosie's little deafening whistle if you slow down the video from that evening. Harmless until you observe what transpires. His nephew turns his head and looks directly at Duke. Then the nephew is gently tapped on the arm by a man wearing a red sweatshirt. One more gesture that may mean nothing until it is viewed in the light of the larger picture. Within seconds, the room's energy shifts. It is easy for Duke to grow weary of laughing. There was no longer any humor in the sound of the dice striking the table. As if the air had grown heavier, you could almost feel the shift in weight. A countdown, as if someone were covertly planning something. A few minutes later, Duke the jeweler was gone. Execution rather than a quiet departure. This raises the question, was this a charade to pass for a game of dice?
Silent.
The entertainer invites him in. Act like you cover for him, hanging out, everything is cool. Let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go there. He introduces the dice game. He got 3 mothers, right, who rotate the dice. Now these dice is loaded. Tell me it's a Wolf, Big Caprice, and watch this, and Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators, right? He said what? There was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler round and got past the dice on accident and was hitting on them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was hire money back. He said, but Lil Cam, Wolf, and Big Caprice are the 3 designated to say I'm up, I got the next, and they pass the dice to each other, but they loaded, but they shoot.
An additional layer raises further eyebrows. With over $1 million in ice and no obvious security, Boosie, a multimillionaire with decades of skill in the field, enticed a well-known visitor into a dice game in a place like Houston. That was a mistake or a deliberate action. Furthermore, Where was the alleged protection of J. Jr., a prince? Why was an out-of-town jeweler who was known for moving heavy items unprotected? These inquiries are not merely theoretical. Now focused on mafia connections, their red flags were aimed directly at the government's attention. But when Bowie first appeared following Duke's passing, his visage was everything but innocent. He looked pale, like someone who has just witnessed a scheme go awry, anxious and disturbed. That was more than enough for federal investigators who were already looking into Bowie because of other legal issues. Duke's death, however, prompted the federal government to decide to turn this case into a different federal homicide investigation. There will be no more detours or delays. The only goal is the death of Duke the jeweler. The Fed's first significant action was to find Duke's last cell phone activity. His phone's last ping was from Bowie's recording studio. Boosie's crew had it too, unless Duke's phone somehow found its way there. It wasn't the most attractive. The fact that the person who stole the phone made no effort to erase it or dispose of it just made matters worse. After that ping, it just went dark, indicating that it was probably intentionally switched off. Not only did this arouse suspicions, but it also infuriated federal agents who dislike carelessness. They discovered incriminating fingerprints of Boosie's cousin and nephew after a thorough forensic analysis of Duke's rented automobile. The scheme now appeared to be a planned action rather than an unplanned violent outburst. The witness, who just so happened to be smoking outside the premises, then appeared. This witness reported to investigators that they noticed Duke appear at ease as he walked alone toward his automobile.
Was a jeweler. I gotta do my research, see what jeweler might have been down there shooting dice. But nevertheless, to all the entertainers, you know, Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows, right? I don't know if y'all watched it. I was thinking about Daisy Dukes for a reason. I don't know why I said that. You know, one might go with it, may not go with it, but I don't know. If the math is math, and let it math. But entertainers, beware of with J. Prince Jr. when he talked about let's go shoot some dice. Cause the loaded dice crew of 3, Cam Wolf and Big Caprice. We know Lil Cam in there because I believe somehow, some way he was caught up in the dice situation. Rest in peace, Takeoff. I don't know what's going on. But what I do know this, J. Prince Jr. got a whole thing, and when y'all come into town, hold on, bro. Didn't they say Fifth Ward earlier that day shooting dice?
Yep, that's a fact. That word been out, wet. That word been out. We been out that memo.
And then, so I've been getting hit all day, and it got to the point that the thing, Quavo like, that into dice. That's what this nigga J. Prince Jr., boy, these niggas got all kind of shit going on down there. They say, he said the jeweler nigga got past the dice. He didn't even know the motherfuckers was loaded. He just think he hitting. These niggas is mad as a motherfucker. Cause they like, nigga, how you pass this nigga the loaded dice on us?
But then Boosie's nephew emerged from the shadows as if he had been waiting for it. According to the witness, Duke sensed something wasn't quite right. He must have swung first for his own protection, but it was too late. It is said that Boo's nephew squeezed the trigger with a single motion. Then the most terrible event takes place. They didn't try to rob anyone. No valuables or cash were taken. Duke was left with his possessions. No one was robbed there. That caused me to go silent. The crew also made no effort to conceal the evidence. They retained the luggage after that. It goes beyond simply being careless. It is conceit. Who else could see through that bluster immediately? 50 Cent immediately began spreading street rumors and subliminal warnings, according to observers. Because the same unwritten rule usually applies when someone walks in from outside Houston's dice scene. Do not forget to check in. Other people are looking if you're not. Although it is not stated in any contract or handbook, it is understood. The streets of Houston have an unwritten law. Checking in with J. Prince JRB and his mob TIs would be a wise move for any athlete, influencer, or passing talent. For years, the regulation has hung over us like a silent shadow. But reality is starting to show. What if, however, The people you are meant to check in with are also planning your murder. Jay hosted a dice game, which Duke participated in, the Prince JRB, in the same manner that he administered the notorious dice session that resulted in Takeoff's downfall. The two men went on 2 separate evenings, each with corpse bags. What formerly seemed to be a protective culture is now starting to look more like a control network. Why do killings at Prince JRB's gatherings continue to escalate if he truly controls the city as he says? The entertainment sector is disturbed by the clash. It is said that artists are retreating. Labels are quietly abandoning Houston gigs. Formerly celebrity-driven events are now being quietly phased out. Once a representation of street cred, the Mob Ti's brand is becoming less and less relevant. The silence may be loud, but one person isn't staying silent. Because of his enigmatic films, audacious claims, and straightforward cautions, 50 Cent is being intently studied by the business. Others claim that he's denigrating these street legends in an effort to become lucky. Others think he's just expressing what everyone else cannot, that something darker and more malevolent is taking place beneath the gems and smoke. That brings up Bowie again. According to reports, federal agents are working harder. Not only has Boosie cleared Duke's case from their already existing backlog, but they have also started a targeted investigation that continues till that very evening. His financial records, his son's digital footprint, and the monitoring equipment in the estate are all being investigated. Perhaps the greatest spark, however, came from within his own house. According to street sources, Boo's girlfriend may have slipped something when she said that Bowie had returned to the building that evening, looking irate and concealing something. Boosie, however, has been feigning ignorance in public ever since. The people seated at the dice table are being made to play a much riskier game, and the silence is growing louder, one where each secret has a price and every action is monitored. The question that is currently being asked in the streets is straightforward yet explosive. And who will Bowie bring down with him if he falls? Since it's not a performance by one person, people follow Boosie around. Now, Prince JRB's name, cousin, and nephew are connected to Takeoff, whose identity is already under intense scrutiny following his death. These links aren't made at random. All these overlapping threads lead back to the main objective, which is the dice table. However, it doesn't stop there. A pair of penalty points. History is currently being rewritten by a once proud affiliate of Mob Ti's. Once he would call out Prince JRB in every interview, but now he hardly ever does. That's no coincidence. It signals a dramatic change in allegiance. Something shattered inside that camp, and the damage is showing now. The gap initially appeared to be a silent fading. Finesse broke off communication with Mob Ti's. Displays, promotional runs, group appearances, and backstage access are all forbidden. They took notice. That's when the whispers became louder and more frequent. Additionally, insiders claim that a woman, specifically Fitness baby mom, was the catalyst behind it all. However, interpersonal drama was not the only aspect of this. A few months ago, she and her mother reportedly set Finesse up, called the police, and put him in jail for violating his probation. He almost died as a result of that wise decision. However, he left as quickly as he entered. It was then that Prince Sr. took over. Sr. made calls behind the scenes, gathered information, and made the appropriate connections. After 2 weeks, Finesse was set free. Loyalty ought to have been consolidated, but Finesse gambled rather than showed gratitude. He returned immediately to the same woman. That was the point of rupture. Prince Sr. didn't hold back. After seeing enough, so that everyone could hear him say it, he tweeted it aloud. Loyalty has boundaries was the catchphrase. Unconditional protection is not available. The circle no longer includes you if you are unable to honor the hand that saved you. This wasn't merely a reaction against a person in public. It waved. Internally, the Mob Ti's coalition is disintegrating. A rising lack of response from former allies, legal exposure, and internal betrayals are tearing away the previously exclusive circle of power. The heat also increases with the number of names connected. I told him that if he really cared about his life, he should stay away from that girl. It served as a caution, and it wasn't just advice. The problem was one of survival. Still, he had no interest in it. He never received the message, even after they stepped in to spare him from a jail term. Currently, the dominoes are falling quickly. There is more to this than poor choices. This is because relationships can quickly fall apart when commitment wanes. A fresh rumor circulating the streets has the potential to undermine the foundation. According to several rumors, it is possible that 2 women were conceived behind Prince JRB. He's back. Vanessa's silence speaks more than words ever could, even in the absence of statements, DNA, or corroboration. Supporters began to make connections. At the moment, Prince JRB is dealing with a complicated public divorce, a tense private relationship with Boosie, and a falling out with Takeoff's family. The drama isn't isolated anymore. It is a labyrinth of disintegrating trust, declining allegiance, and unchecked authority. The question, how many bridges can one man burn before the entire empire falls apart, is one that people are starting to ask. This is the truth. One individual breaking the silence, one defection, or one voice can overthrow your system of silence, coercion, and concealed leverage. Whether they are addressing a friend, a former ally, or an artist under pressure, the moment they say it, it's over. Who is going to break first then? Will it be pushed into a corner by inebriated federal officers? Dividing his Baton Rouge estate into Georgia, is Finesse going to finally make the months-long rumors public? Will 50 Cent's regular comments and digital footprints put pressure on Prince JRB to break the code and speak up to save himself? Did he cave in? We must not fool ourselves because the collapse is already happening. Nowadays, the federal government does more than just look at things. Everyone is watching, every move is being observed, and every cent is being tracked. Rap fights are not related to this. Rico is the level of energy. It's calm, systematic, and calculated. It's called retraction. The artists are disappearing. Mob connections, which were once unbreakable, appear to be weakening. All that remains to be determined is whether the federal government or TMZ will obtain the video first, assuming the reports are accurate and Duke's killer was captured on camera. Anyway, please make sure to leave a comment after the tape drops if you're interested in this topic. Do you believe that internal disintegration is occurring inside the Mob Ti's enterprise? Who flips first? Boosie, or Finesse? JRB, Prince? If you want to stay up to date, please click the like button, subscribe, and enable notifications. Additionally, remember to view the following video. It goes deeper than